Step to me.
So welcome inside of my Ableton project for this track. I believe this track is about maybe 6 months old. I kind of wanted to wait until the pandemic was over so I could release this. So I wanted to get this featured on YouTube channels and SoundCloud and just really push it. And I didn't want it to be just a kind of a track that kind of got lost when everything reopens. There's obviously so much new music out there that you're competing with a lot of people, and some people have massive tracks out that never got played in a club and may actually even get forgotten about. And I thought I want to kind of hold this one for a bit because I feel like it could do well, and that was kind of my mindset when it came to releasing this track on Play Nice Collective, which is actually out now. There'll be a link in the description if you've not actually got this track yet. And yeah, it got featured on Blanc too, so that's cool. I'm not sure at this point what the views are, but I'm sure it's in the tens of thousands because that's a very popular YouTube channel, and I'm really excited to see how well this track does. But the purpose of today's video is to actually break down how I made the track and give you a overview on kind of how the idea grew into the final track and kind of some techniques that I use. Looking at the project, you'll notice it's color coded. It's quite nicely labeled. Anyone that's familiar with my channel knows these kind of color, the color scheme and the groups I put things in. But the main groups that I use is like something for the low end, which is the kick and the bass lines. Drums, which is literally all your typical house drums, so your closed hat, your hi-hat, your open hat, claps, shakers, rides, all those sort of aspects of typical house drums, tech house drums. Then we've got snare roll, which I just keep out of that just because I like to process that differently. Fills, and to be honest, I think there's just the one in that here at this drop. Percussion, why I kind of split percussion up away from drums is just because I like to do different things with percussion from track to track, whereas the drums tend to be pretty much the same sort of, vibe with like the hats playing on the offbeat, for example, the claps obviously on the 2 and the 4. So this area is pretty generic stuff, whereas this area is a bit more specific to the track itself and different kind of grooves, different sounds, different percussion elements. Then we've got the vocals. Then we've got anything that's music related, so that would be either melodies or just nice little leads. Basically anything that's got some sort of melody to it goes in there. And then at the bottom we've got FX. So in all, if I was to just kind of make a new track, it'll say there's like 35 tracks in total, and even a lot of them aren't actually that in depth. So really, a lot of my tracks tend to come around this amount of numbers, this amount of tracks. So yeah, 35 tracks roughly. I don't really try and do too much with some of these songs. Sometimes I think the idea is strong enough and it's minimal enough to do the job. So that's why I tend to stick around 30 to 40 tracks. Let's kind of talk about where the idea came from. So people who know me, people who are following this channel will have seen a video already called How to Get a Track on Blanc. And what that one was a breakdown of my Beyonce remix. So that did really well. It did really well on Play Nice Collective, and it did really well on Blanc. And the kind of reception I got from people in the scene and just fans in general was probably the biggest kind of reception I've got so far in my music career. So with that in mind, I kind of wanted to try it again. So I knew it obviously works the first time round. So I thought, right, I want to increase my Instagram followers. I want to increase my SoundCloud followers. And I knew that the Beyonce track pretty much did that the first time round. So I wanted to try and do that again. So I thought about all these kind of tracks that are huge in terms of when they first came out. So obviously the Beyonce Naughty Girl song was massive and is a very popular R&B song. So I wanted to do something similar, but when I was coming up with ideas, the first track I did think of was an Eminem song. So that was kind of the mindset and how the idea came about. Thinking about it now as well, there's a certain part in the track where everything cuts off except the vocal. And that kind of came from another track that was out at the time. I believe it was Cluner. I just can't remember which one it was. But he has a section in it where it is just the rapper talking, or rapping I should say, and I thought that sounded pretty cool. And after messing around with the Eminem vocal, I realised that I could do something similar with it, just complete silence other than the rap. And I thought that would be a brilliant moment in the track for people to kind of sing along to it, and it's nothing else. That was something that I wanted to try with this, and was one of the first ideas I did leading up to the drop. So that's kind of how the idea came about to make this song. Basically wanted to capitalize on previous successes with using Play Nice Collective and Blanc. And I really like working with Play Nice anyway. The lads there are solid. Give them a follow. I'll include their information in the description. So yeah, let's dive into the actual sounds of the track. So what I'll start with is I'll loop this area here, and the reason being is this is kind of picture this being a Blanc Ableton project. This is kind of how it started. So I would start with like the drums and no bass, no vocals, and just get a basic groove going first. So if I was just to kind of play the drums first. Quite minimal. There's not a lot going on there. You've just simply got the claps and hats, which is closed hat. There's a shaker in there too. There's even a reversed open hat, which I thought was quite a cool little change instead of your typical open hat. That closed hat I felt did enough. You can see here kind of how much of the frequency range it's actually like taking up, so I didn't feel like I needed any other kind of sounds. That was quite full, so I just stuck to that. And at that point it was then trying to find a kick that works with it. So if we were to do this, and if we look down here, it's actually from the Sound of Blanc pack. It's one of the kicks, and then we're just simply throwing it into the sampler, can't remember which one this is. And then yeah, just making it a MIDI track. And we do layer it too with another sound from Vengeance, Sub Perk 39, which is basically just a little click, just to add a little bit more to the kick. So you get the foot of the kick, tiny little click. Let me just come up here actually. I think it's quite quiet. But then we got it going through a load of crap. To be honest, I tend not to do this as much anymore. I tend to just find good kicks to begin with. Not that this was a bad kick, but I wouldn't really bother with drum bus or anything anymore. I just maybe a little bit of EQ, but this feels a bit overkill from what I'm doing these days. Another EQ on this one just to get rid of the lows, because obviously I just wanted the clickiness of this. And we got all this going on here. We also use Tal Filter, which is just to shape it. If I was to take this off, it's making it shorter. It's basically just a volume envelope, but I like to use this. It's a free plugin. It's worth getting, and then we can just shape sounds every 16th. So yeah, that's kind of the general groove of the track without any of the bass elements. So we'll just play that again. I'll play it with the percussion too, because the percussion does add a lot to it. I'm a really big fan of using real like drum beats, acoustic drum beats. So I'll just basically anything that's played on real drums. So again, this is from the Sound of Blanc pack. Not ashamed to say I use loops. I find them very good to get ideas down quickly, and a lot of the time I just end up keeping them in there. Yeah, so I mean, if we was to play this out, I am cutting things out that I know aren't going to be necessary, and sometimes what I'll do is rearrange the groove slightly. But yeah, I really like that drum groove, and I'm doing this a lot more in some of my latest tracks, and actually including real drums over the top of programmed drums. I just think that you get a really rich, full sound. So I won't go into details about what I'm doing in terms of each layer. A lot of the time it's just typical stuff. So EQ, there's a limiter on here, just catching peaks of the clap. Hats is going to be the same sort of stuff, so just making sure I get rid of any of the low end and any resonating frequencies that might happen. I didn't even do it on the shaker or the reverse open hat, but we have got an EQ happening on all of it. We've even got a kickstart on it as well, just to make sure that any of the sounds that might play when the kick plays, they're getting ducked. So yeah, so at that point, when I was making a track, I've got the groove going, I've got this nice drum beat. What I then did was I'd started messing around with the actual a cappella and the instrumental. Now, all I did to get these things was a quick Google search, and this was even before I started making the track. I did a quick Google search to see if I could get both of them. So I managed to find the instrumental, I managed to find the a cappella, and at that point I could do whatever I wanted to do with it. I prefer like melodies and music elements to songs, and I do more vocals, so I started with those bits. And already I kind of knew when I came up with this idea for making this track how I wanted to remix it. So a lot of it is just cut samples from the original. So, you know, like if we were to open this, you'll notice that these parts are all the same. So all I'm really doing is removing the parts that I know I wouldn't need. So if we were to play just this part, you'll hear having that kind of there, getting all the main parts out as I wanted it to use across the track. What I would have done is, and what I did do, obviously I can't show it you now because it's this is the finished thing, but I would have had all these parts kind of already cut out, not necessarily arranged like this, but just on their own. So like if we look at this bit over here, for example, so I already wanted to use that part somewhere. It might have got down the line, and then I might have just thought, I can't get this in, I'm not going to use it. But I thought, right, these are the parts I want to use, and then I'll delete the rest just to kind of get everything nice and clean in the project, get the parts that I want. And the same happened with the vocal. Now, with the main vocal of the Eminem track, I actually only wanted to use one part, which is the chorus. I knew I didn't want this to be really focused on the entire track, the entire original vocal. I wanted just a singular part of it, was the most popular part of the song. Obviously, it's going to be the chorus, and I wanted to build the track using that. So if we zoom out, you can actually see that there is not really a lot of vocals going on. It's more kind of like the one-shots. And again, let's play this here now.
Hi, my name is what? My name is who? My name is Slim Shady. Hi, my name is My name is what? My name is Slim Shady. Hi, my name is what? Excuse me.
I am adding reverb here too.
Can I have the attention of the class for 1 second? Hi.
So this is what I was talking about earlier with the Clooney track. He does something similar, but he doesn't kind of use any reverb or anything. He just lets the rapper rap it out, gets to the end, has a nice drum fill, and then it drops into this disgusting beat. And that was kind of what I wanted to also achieve with this song. So the difference here is that I actually added some sort of automation to the vocal. And what I like about it is it sounds like it's leading up to something huge. It's making the vocal incredibly wide and wet with reverb and echo. It's like it's got that kind of, it's quite a long reverb too, and then right at the end we suck it back into nothing, and I just think that was a really cool way to get people hyped for the drop, and it also makes the drop more impactful. If we just listen again.
Hi, my name is. What? Excuse me. My name is. Can I have the attention of the class for 1 second? Hi.
As well as that, I knew that there's a lot of these highs, whats, where, when, who, whatever the hell he says. I knew there was a lot of them within the acapella, and I knew that that would be cool to kind of use as almost like a drum hit, as a one shot. So with all that in mind, obviously this didn't all work straight away. I had to rearrange things, but I already had these ideas kind of going in. I already could tell that this is kind of the way I wanted to go with it. At that point, I kind of knew that this track was going to be heavily influenced about the original instrumental, but chopped in a way that would work as a house track. So if we play the entire thing.
Hi, my name is. What? Excuse me. My name is. Can I have the attention of the class for 1 second? Hi. What? Hi.
That's basically how the track started. I created this kind of 8-bar loop, put the different elements in different places until something stuck and worked, EQ'd things, sidechained things, and then just got it to a nice solid point where I thought, right, okay, this is a really cool little 8-bar loop. What can I do now to enhance that? So what you'd have heard there is there's a lot of chops going on, even with like the drums. So with this being quite a choppy track in terms of the different elements, so the vocal, then the instrumental, I even took the scratching sound from the original track. I mean, I've then like stretched it to kind of match my tempo because it was a bit funner. With the choppiness in mind, I also wanted to kind of do that with my drums and just make things have their own little bit of space at certain parts of the track. Just keep it interesting. Instead of having to use loads of drum fills and effects, I quite like taking things away and letting certain elements kind of shine. You can still have those effects and stuff, but I mean, like if we were to actually zoom out, there isn't really a lot of them. There's just typical noise. This isn't like a noise build up. You've got the little scratch that we just talked about. I believe this is a crash. Yeah, and then what else is that? Bit of vinyl noise. So there's not a lot of typical effects in this track at all. Like you might get some lasers in tech house tracks, some more pitched risers. I didn't want to do anything like that. I kind of wanted to take the elements that are in the track and use them to their like full potential and experiment with other bits. So like there's a reverse bit here which I can't remember what I sampled. Oh, I actually think it's this. Put a shitload of reverb on it, resampled it down, and then just used it as like a swoop up. So it just adds something just something a little bit different instead of just what we've already had, and that's dotted about from time to time. It's used very sparingly, I think that's the word. And then from there, it just became about what else can I do to make this track cool. So if we've not even looked at the bass, so let's take a look at the bass. There's a couple of things going on. The Moog bass we'll get to later. There's two elements to the bass, and we've got kind of a bass perk and then an actual sub bass. So if I listen to the bass perk, then we've got the actual bass itself. Together. And that just came about from experimenting, just seeing what I could do, trying to do some different things, not just using a single bass. Let's see if we can make it a bit more interesting using something else, and that's kind of where this came from. It's not something I would normally do. It was just me experimenting, and it works. So that's why it ended up staying in. The actual bass pattern itself is pretty much exactly, well, it's not exactly the same as in the rhythm, but the melody is pretty much identical to the original track. It's just following this same pattern. It goes duh, 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 and it's going up and down. That's all it's doing. All I then did was kind of fill in the gaps with cool little, like, you've got this kind of like double bass hit, and then there's a part up here where it actually slides, or glides I should say. And yeah, I mean, because the bass line is so simple, it's just those little things that kind of help it. I do believe it is it's only 2 bars throughout the entire track. There is a point where later in the track I kind of lose the melody and just have it as kind of a single note. In terms of the sound of it, it's Serum preset from Evolution of Sounds kit. I just absolutely loved how hard hitting that sound is, but it still has some kind of like tone to it. And yeah, I think, to be honest, that's probably the first VST I've used in the entire thing. The track is very heavily focused around the sample, so a lot of it is sample based, and there's not really a lot of VSTs going on. So I think we've got Serum going on there. There's a Laser, which is another Serum preset. There's this kind of Mosquito synth. Actually, sorry, I'm not even using that. And I believe that is it. There's the Moog bass as well, which is using Sylenth. Yeah, it's all very sample heavy, this track. Very little VSTs or any other kind of hardware going on. Well, there's absolutely no hardware going on. It's all software. And then what would happen after that, and this is a typical technique that I do for most of my tracks, is after I've got that kind of first initial 8-bar loop, what I'll then do is try and rearrange stuff or take things out and check how it will sound in different like parts of the track. So for example, if we were to turn off the music, turn off the vocal, and just simply have the percussion drums and low end, I wanted to check how this track would sound as an intro. So the DJ's queuing the song up. Let's hear how it sounds without the bass lines as well, and then bring them in afterwards. So let's play from here. So I would just be getting a feel for the kind of groove, and then be like, okay, what could then possibly happen in the next bit of arrangement? It could be bring the vocal in.
Hi.
I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. Let's do it again.
What?
Yeah, I'm liking that. And then at this point, cut the vocals off, bring the bass line in. Get a feel for it. And at that point, I already know I can get the intro of the track done and ready for arrangement. I'm like, all right, all these elements work really nicely together. This will be a perfect DJ intro. And then from there, it was just about, okay, what can I do to continue making this song interesting and build it up over time? So if we listen to an earlier part of the track, so even here, for example, it's like I completely get rid of the percussion. It's like I just have simply the bass and the drums playing. Slowly introducing all these elements. Actually, if you look at the way it kind of is, it's almost like a call and response between the synth and the drum beat. So if we listen again. And we're just slowly introducing these elements. I think further down the line, we actually get the kind of main synthy part. But we don't get a lot of it. We're just getting simple little hits. We've got that reverse there that's kind of swooshing it in, trying to keep things interesting. Some really quite over the top drum fill, but I thought it was cool. That came in from, I can't remember actually, but let's listen to the sound on its own. What key is that? Yeah, just again experimenting with sounds, trying to find things that would work, that was slightly different, slightly cool, because it's quite an aggressive sound. I wanted it to kind of shine on its own, just have that moment. Like I was saying earlier, instead of having crazy effects and one shots, I wanted to take things away and just have these certain elements of the track have their moment. If we go back over here, actually, I remember now. This is kind of how this sound got brought in. So if we listen to this whole section, I think it's to fill in gaps. Again, it almost works like a call and response to the synth, because the synth's quite a high sounding element, and then obviously the bass is low. It's like duh, 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 duh. I know that weren't the right melody, but you get my point. This track's full of those. It's full of little call and responses, which is the best way to describe it is this thing happens, then this thing happens, and then it goes back to this thing that happens, and then this thing happens. But they play off one another, and they sound cool together. They're not the same sound, they're not the same melodies, but for some reason they're working, and they make a track interesting. So that's what a lot of this track is about, just kind of getting these sounds to work together and just be cool and interesting. Let's have a listen to the breakdown. So the breakdown for me was one of the hardest parts of this track, because I already had the groove, the kind of main drop sorted. I knew that I needed a break in the track. It's quite a long break, and thinking about it now, I probably would make it shorter, because not really a lot happens, but I think that kind of adds to the anticipation. But if I was to kind of do this track again, I'd probably try and get rid of at least 8 bars here, just so it's not so long. But the idea I had, if we were to listen to it now from this point.
Hi.
Going to stop it there. So we're slowly bringing the track back in. We're bringing the main sample in, the main synth. It's filtered. It's got rid of the bass. We're actually bringing more bass in over time with the filter. Just kept the sub bass out, because obviously this is a sample. It's still got some drums in there. So we're using quite a lot of the instrumental here. Rather than cutting it up, it's more or less exactly the same as what the original track was. But we're just filtering it, making it a bit different. And for some reason, I just could hear the beginning part of, I believe it's Drake's Passion Fruit, where the guy's talking. It's actually Moody Man. He did a gig in Manchester. This is kind of what the clip's from the Drake song. But in my head, when I was listening to this breakdown, I could hear the guy talking over it. So if we were to play it fuller.
Hold on, fuck that shit.
So I don't know why, I just heard it whilst I was playing the track and thought, that could be cool. I know it's been used before, but I thought, I might as well try it. It might work as a good placeholder until I find something else that could replace it. What I did, there's a brilliant website out there called, I believe it's whosampled.com. All you have to do is type in the name of a song that's, use samples. So let's say Prodigy, for example, and then just follow it up. So it's Prodigy Firestarter samples. And then what it'll do, it'll take you to that website, and then it'll show you all the samples and where they are in the song, the original song. And it's a brilliant tool to use if you kind of want to use similar sounds or just explore how people made songs. It's just interesting how those guys took the track and just in some cases completely changed the sound somehow and made it something completely different, but it's still using those sounds. As this was kind of playing, I thought this would be cool, having some guy kind of talking over it, emceeing over it, or just chatting to a crowd, getting people hyped. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to get the crowd hyped slowly but surely. Be like, okay, it's creeping in, guys. Oh, it's building there. We're going to hear that Eminem vocal soon, and then we're going to get into a big nasty drop. And that's basically the idea of it. A lot of this stuff here is still from that same audio. It's just that the crowd was I believe it came in quite early. So what I had to do, I had to kind of like find different parts during, in the in-between parts of him talking and kind of stitch them together. On its own, it does sound a bit crappy. Like here's looped, but you don't notice it.
Hi.
Hold on, fuck that.
And then it goes on, and then there was a certain part in it that I really liked, and it's this part here.
Hey, I want y'all to know something.
And there's a little pause, and just the question, hey, I know you all, I want you all to know something. And I just had to do it. I just had to do it.
Hey, I want y'all to know something.
What?
This is Star Child.
I just had to. It came into my head. I thought, I've got to keep this in. Because to me, this track's just a silly, fun track. It's not meant to be a real serious song. It's just a bit of fun. Something that I wanted to have in DJ sets that could potentially make people be like, oh my god, this is I'm having a good time. I love the original song. I can sing along to it at the parts, and then I can dance, and that's what I wanted this song to be. And another part I like is it's almost like a dummy. If you've never heard the song before, it's almost like a dummy build up. You might be thinking at this point, because it's gone on for so long, and you're getting the snare roll, you're getting the white noise build up, that it's going to drop back into something, but then it goes into almost nothing just with the vocal, and that was just something that I was really keen to do.
Wait a minute. Fuck that.
Hi, my name is what? My name is who? My name is Slim Shady. Hi, my name is My name is what? My name is Slim Shady. Hi, my name is what? Excuse me. Who? My name is Slim Shady. Can I have the attention of the class for 1 second? Hi. What?
And then when we get to this part, this is where there is another actual sound that's coming from Serum, and it's this kind of laser sound. And again, that was brought in to be used as a call and response to the like the alien sound of the original track. And to, of course, make it different. Obviously, you don't want to have the same repeating parts. I believe the laser only appears here, so it's a very unique part of the track. It's never used again after this part. And then we get brought back into a similar sound we've already heard, the main synth. But again, to make that different, we're then using that bass to go alongside it. And yeah, I mean, that's the track, guys. It's I could go into more details about like mixing and mastering, But to be honest, there's better videos out there for that. I wanted to show you kind of the process on how this idea grew into this and how I approach these tracks. And that's it, guys. I hope that was useful, and I hope you enjoy the track. If you've not already, go get yourself a copy now. There is a link in the description down below. There's plenty more new music coming out from me in the near future. I've got several releases out over the coming months, so stay tuned for those. And in terms of those that have been subscribed for a while, you might have noticed that the actual tracks themselves, or the videos themselves, there's not been many. With everything going on now that the world's reopening, my day job become incredibly busy, I'm struggling to actually make consistent content, which is a shame. I do enjoy making these videos, and I enjoy interacting with you guys, who some of you have had some really nice words and asked me questions and stuff, and that's cool. Keep asking questions on Instagram, fire them over, leave comments down below if you wanted to kind of discuss anything further. I'm happy to help. That's why I do these videos. I enjoy sharing what I'm making and hopefully teaching some of you guys some new techniques and some cool little tricks too. But moving forward, the mixes, they're going to come every month as normal. The breakdown videos, every time a new track comes out, I will be breaking down that track, just like I've done with this. So that will be definite. And then I guess in between those, I'll just put up videos randomly here and there. If that's something that you like the sound of and you're not already subscribed, subscribe below. Also, if you enjoyed this video and you're still here now, please click the like button. It helps me out. It helps me pop up in other people's YouTube searches. And yeah, like I said before, any questions, drop me a line on here or message me on Instagram. The handle is HeyDanUK. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.